See, when I think about the Sabbats in paganism, I think about how downright life-centered they are, which is totally, um, that's totally uh, something that I'd expect from the vast majority of people. However, part of the way that I look at things is that uh, the darkness and things that make us uncomfortable are a very large part of everything. You can see this in all of these death rituals that we have. Look at Samhain, for example, and the modern neo-pagan way of looking at it drains it of a great deal of its symbolism in favor of this sort of death is important because it begets life type thing, which is a very important part of it, but they're not looking at death in its own dark beauty, and that's that's something that I think is interesting, or at least the fact that I can consider the processes of death so very interesting and beautiful, gorgeous, even, whereas some people are just sort of they're just it's icky to them. See, when you think about it, what happens during death is symbolism on its own. It doesn't need to symbolize anything other than itself. It's just one of those things that, on its own terms, is just. I don't want to say that I get giddy over it because that's creepy, and I'm already creepy enough without getting giddy over death. But I mean, think about what happens. Like, um, in order to die, the first thing that usually happens is your heart stops beating or your lungs stop breathing, and after that, your body stops getting oxygen, which is something that every cell in your body needs. Once your body stops getting oxygen, the next thing that happens is the capillaries in your body start draining blood. All of the blood in them starts just draining and going into sort of pools on the parts of your body that are gravitationally closest to the center of the earth. So you wind up with these pools of blood within you, and all of this blood, which is your life force because it carries the oxygen that your cells need, suddenly just drains, and it makes your skin tone paler because a great deal of what makes your skin the color that it is the blood running through it. Um, when this happens, it starts being sort of replaced by calcium, and calcium sort of pockets itself within your muscles, and because of all this excess calcium that comes after your blood, your muscles start to stiffen. And that's when rigor mortis sets in. You know that part of death where all of your muscles are so stiff that you can't move, or that people can't move. Of course you can't move, you're dead, but people can't move your muscles. And throughout this entire thing, the order of your cells is compromised because you see, um, the natural way of the cells in your body, as well as everything in the universe, is this sort of disarray and disorder. It's this chaos that, through some spark of life, you don't see in your body. Your cells and everything in your body is in this sort of state of order that's really it's perfect. And when it's not in order like this, you see things like cancer and stuff. But the natural, well, the unnatural rather, the state that your body is in while you're alive is very orderly. And that order is something that is really, really uncommon within the universe. So when you die, that spark of life leaves you, and suddenly everything that made all this order possible starts unraveling. And once it starts unraveling, there really isn't that much way going back. If something in you dies and loses order, then pretty much your only bet is to cut that part of your body off, which makes me think about all these people who try cheating death in all of these ways. People who try freezing their bodies and other things that aren't going to work. Because that spark has already left, your body's already started losing order, and until scientists find a way to bring that order back together, which I can almost guarantee you is not going to happen, you're not coming back. Um, your cells start sort of breaking down, and This makes the bacteria in your body, which are there to help you digest food, start eating your body from the inside out. So it starts with your intestines, and then it starts sort of working its way out. While this happens, they sort of let out gases and stuff. And that pushes all the fluid inside your cells, inside your body, into all these sort of pockets. And um, and it makes your body into sort of this awkward water and gas balloon. And after a while, of course, rigor mortis is already ended by this point, because suddenly your muscles start breaking down and all that stuff. Even the calcium that keeps your muscles all stiff really can't keep them stiff anymore, because your muscles are really just goo, and you can't really, it's not stiff anymore. But anyway, I could go on further. You get things like flies. Suddenly, the smell of death gets all these flies and other insects to come, and they start laying eggs in every part of your body that can handle them. So in your mouth, in your eyes, in your nose, in every mucous membrane that they can find, and in any open wound that they can find. And suddenly you get all of these eggs inside of you, which grow, and then the maggots feed on the dead parts of you. Now, I think this process is gorgeous, and it's something that I've done meditations about this. If you want to do something that's sort of a really extreme mindfuck, especially if you're afraid of death, because this is one of those things that really helps me to not be afraid of death. Ironically, lie down on your back upon going to somewhere, learn exactly what happens after you die physically to your body, and sort of pretend that you're conscious during. You're not going to be conscious during it. Don't worry about this sort of thing. When you die, you're not going to be in that body anymore. Whether you go to heaven, whether you reincarnate, whether your consciousness just goes snap and is no longer there anymore, like people who don't believe in the afterlife believe, you're not going to be in your body during this. So there's no use in being afraid of this decomposition process that happens in your body. But at the same time, if that is what you're afraid of, then envision it as something that you will be conscious through, and sort of do this meditation. And after I sort of did this meditation, I actually use it for everything. Now I use it to get to sleep. I use it for a lot of things that I'm sure people are probably looking at me like, you're fucked up, but that's okay. So you lie down and you think of things like your heart not beating anymore, and I mean, at this point you'll probably hear it more, but yeah. And your body not getting oxygen, although please continue breathing during this process, and do some sort of visualization where the blood drains from your body, and go through that process where you stiffen up, and feel parts of your body start breaking down until you're like so totally relaxed. It's the same thing people tell you to do for relaxation exercises. It's just got a little bit of a different, more morbid twist to it. And there's fun parts too, like your eyes sort of rotting out from their sockets. That's usually the part that gets me to sleep. Isn't that the freaky part? It's like all this part I go through this rigor mortis meditation, and everything sort of goes down, but it's not until I get this visualization of my eyes running out that's something I'm under. But anyway, the fact that people are afraid of that, and that makes them afraid of anything that may be even closely associated with things like that.